Hey everyone, welcome to Office Hours with Our Hometown. This is Matt Larson, President and CEO, and we've got our publisher support team, Terry and Vera, joining us today. Welcome, both of you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year. So today we're going to be talking about today's newsletter, which is our weekly newsletter that goes to customers, and it's a look back on 2020. So this is going to be kind of a fun episode. We'll try to keep it brief, but there's a lot to talk about here. So what we have, if you click on today's newsletter, is this page. It's actually an interactive page, not a blog post this week. A look back. I mean, it's crazy to look at some of these early stories that we were doing back in January before everything hit, and then how the timeline adjusted. But I mean, let's just look at it. Just go down through this interactive animation. The drag and drop composer was still new, and we were making updates to it. But at this time, in January, we were really ramping up the focus on newsletters because we were starting to realize publishers really need to reduce their dependence on social media, and we started pushing for that more. Then we released the mobile apps, and let's just take a look at this blog post because I had a lot of fun making this video with Steven back when he lived in town here in Salt Lake. He came by with all this great equipment and put together this great promo video for the apps because in early 2020 we established apps as being the top three, or at least mobile, certainly mobile being the top three areas that newspapers want to focus on, one of the top three. And so the apps go along with the mobile responsive design, and we talk a lot about that. We're talking about that more and more. It's kind of something that I overlooked in the past, but Terry, you've made the point that it's really important for publishers to be checking their site on mobile, whether it's through a simulator on their browser or just checking on their phone, making sure that it looks the way they think it does, because a large fraction of your audience, up to 80% of your audience, is coming from mobile now. So what we have are these apps which can be integrated with the site. They can be integrated with your paywall, but if it's a free site, then it's just a completely free app to download and use. And if it's paid, then you would have to just use your website subscription to log in through the app. We're going to test out the audio Zoom sharing on Zoom. And so let's see how this comes out. Here we go. Hey everyone, this is Matt from Our Hometown, and today I'm going to be giving you a walkthrough of our new iOS and Android app for local newspapers. We're going to be taking a look at the Signals app, Signals AZ. And when I first open the app, you'll see that I'm going to land right on the home page. And that's going to basically be just a running stream of all of the latest articles published on the website from any category. And because this is a free website, I can just click on any article and view that whole story. I'm going to have all the same multimedia content that you have on the website. So that includes audio articles, if you have that on your website.
Talking Glass audible stories on signalsaz.com made possible by the Feign Signature Group.
Now, this is kind of cool because you can listen to the article, but then skip ahead and look at the images while it's playing by. Or I can just scroll to view the whole story. Oh, I want to point out here, I can do the social share to Facebook, Twitter, any social media I have on my phone. You can just share that article very easily. Okay, and then if I go back to the index, I'm going to show you some other indexes that are the categories. So you can go into any individual category and view just the stories from that category on the website. Okay, and again, these are all going to be free on this website. Okay, and always I can hit that home button to go back to the home page. There's also the keyword search on the bottom right corner here. You can search any article on the site. And as I've been browsing through, you may have noticed that there's some ads at the top of every page. So on the top of every index page, on every article page, you can have ads rotating through. Okay, that's it for the Signals app. Let me jump out of that and go over to the Our Hometown demo app. Now this is what's brand new. A lot of the features on this are what's new with this release. So I'm going to download this app from the store. So the first time you open the app, it's going to look like this, and then it's going to ask you whether you want to receive push notifications. So I'm going to say allow. And then now I've enabled the app to send push notifications, but then I'm going to be able to opt in for exactly which categories I want to receive push notifications on. So I can just quickly select all, or I can pick and choose individual ones. You can always come back and edit these settings later. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But if I say continue, now I have downloaded the app and I'm subscribed to all categories for push notifications. Okay, now to change those notifications at any time, if you want to get more or less, you can just open up that hamburger menu again and click on notification settings and then just unclick whatever categories you don't want to receive anymore. Okay, if I go back to the home page, I'm just going to show you one more thing. This is a paid app, so different from the Signals app. Each of these articles require a login, and it's all integrated with the website. So if I subscribe to the website, my credentials are going to automatically be part of the app, so I can log in with them. So this is what it would look like. I click on the article and it's going to have just a teaser and then an area to log in. So to view the full story, log in. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, now here's the full story, and this is obviously just a test article, but now I can navigate through the app, go back, I can close the app, come back in, and I'm going to still be logged in with those credentials. So it makes it totally seamless for the subscriber.
And for your readers that prefer reading the news in the print layout, the new e-edition can be quickly navigated by scrolling through the thumbnails. And with pinch and zoom, you can easily read the content at high resolution.
So those are all the new updates with the new app. Let us know if you're interested in getting it set up for your newspaper. Thanks a lot for checking out this video. We'll see you next time.
I love that.
Yay! That was so fun to watch that. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while. Steven did such a great job with it. I mean, that was so professional. And I had forgotten, this was actually 2.0, the app 2.0. We had an initial release of the app last year in 2019, but only a couple people had tried it at that point. The overwhelming feedback was we needed the push notifications, and so that's what this really brought. So that was cool. And the other thing that we announced in early 2020 before everything hit was the audio articles feature. This, of course, we talk about a lot now, but at the time it was just one of several new features that we were experimenting with. We thought made sense. We had a lot of good feedback from publishers in our surveys that this is something that they would want. And so we went ahead and took existing plugins on WordPress, applied them to our platform, and we had a working prototype. And so this is a beautiful example of the benefits of an open source platform over proprietary. We were very, able to move very quickly, and still, I don't believe any of the competition has anything like this because they would have to build it from scratch. So let's check out this video. I had a lot of fun making this one with actually just pretty simple editing tools. It's not quite as fancy as what Steven does, but let's take a look here, and hopefully this will give you all the background.
Audio articles are brought to you by our hometown web publishing. Ring in the new year with audio articles. A constantly changing world requires a constantly changing media platform and user interface. Today, news and media is consumed in ways that even just 10 years ago were unheard of. A major trend in all forms of media is the desire to take in content on the go. While mobile phones and tablets have made this possible, we're excited to build upon that principle with our newest feature, audio articles. With audio articles, every article posted on your website is converted into an audio stream that can be played back at the click of a button, allowing readers to consume their news in places they otherwise couldn't, at the gym, on the go, or when cooking dinner. Best of all, this functionality is built into your existing website. Readers won't have to download any software or third-party apps to use this feature. They just open a news article like they normally would, and click the play button. Contact us at ops@ourhometown.com to try audio articles today.
Okay, so that was audio articles. And I wanted to bring this up because it's actually funny. A year after we released it, we're now talking with James, the engineering department, about a roadmap to get to the next level of enhancement here, where we can automate, hopefully, the production of video beyond, just from the audio, using that as the foundation and doing some of the things that we've been kind of preaching you should be doing manually, because we give you all this material, we give you the audio file, you could create a video from it, but we're looking at taking that step for you and figuring out ways to automate the production of video. So that's a little bit of a teaser for some of the things we'll be working on in the next year. Let's go back here. This was, this is again going to just be a trip down memory lane. This was the first webinar. I remember it was a big deal. It was the first time I used the webinar feature of GoToMeeting, even though I always had access to it for years. We did this as a follow-up to a conference in Iowa, where I just took the same presentation I did in Iowa and then did it virtually. And I probably had more people listening to the virtual one than I did in Iowa, even though they put me in a room with 50 people, not to downplay the value of conferences, but this was an eye-opener for me. I realized that we can have our own conferences in combination with the associations. They're doing their own thing and they bring in a great audience, but we have our own audience. And so we started building that, really effectively, I think, in early March and April. As everything shut down, we started just brainstorming. Remember, Terry, I feel like we just jumped on and almost had like emergency support meetings. We were meeting multiple times a week, just coming up with ideas for like
We had some great sessions.
Yeah, a lot of good sessions, a lot of good conversations, and one big one.
We were really fortunate too, because we were already kind of prepared for when the pandemic hit. So
right. That was the cool thing. I really felt like, wow, I feel like I can actually offer good, solid advice based on experience, years of experience, 12 years that I've been working remote effectively, and getting stuff done. It's not easy. So this one, we really pushed for this hard, and this got a lot of press, actually. This was republished with NNA. Several newspaper associations put this out there and linked to us. It was just basic stuff, like we love Asana, Slack. I think everyone has heard of Slack at this point. These are all just critical to the day-to-day, and they all serve their own purpose. Asana is kind of more long-term projects. Slack is just replacing the office environment, really. This is the real-time communication. So, and of course, GoToMeeting. We actually didn't really know about Zoom at the time, but then that thing blew up amazingly, and so we're experimenting with that a little bit ourselves, just because it's kind of the default that everyone uses. But anyway, that was just like kind of our first experiment. I think that was one of our first blog posts that was just like, we're just going to try to be helpful. We're going to use our expertise and background to just offer up good advice. It's not sales material at all. And so we did that several times. Things like this, the COVID-19 resource page. Again, this is just like, most of our customers have the business directory, So anyone can just do this. This was just an idea that we had seen at Florida Weekly. Actually, I think St. Ignace was one of the first ones that I had seen to do this. And let's see, the Zoom thing's in the
Right.
way.
I think a lot of publishers,
I don't know
when
where.
we were working on this part, publishers were their heads were swimming. They just didn't know where to go. I mean, they
Yeah,
had capability, but they didn't know where to start. I want to
right.
do this, I want to do that. And
Exactly.
we have a lot of credibility because we've been doing this for so long. And I think
Right.
that's one way that we were really able to help publishers this year.
Exactly. Yep. And we adapted the role of acting as like a melting pot of ideas. So we were looking for things like this, just a basic page of resources, just organizing everything. I mean, that's the most basic function of a reporter, to organize the facts first, and then you can write the stories. But so many of these sites were doing such a great job of just reporting the facts straight up. Let's just link to them. So Wes up at St. Ignace had a page like that, and then this Florida Weekly page. Let's see, I'll just go directly here. I think, yeah, we had a lot of press on this, and they had tremendous growth. I mean, I don't remember what the numbers were, but it was hundreds of thousands of people. I feel like a day at one point. I mean, checking this resource page out, it was just incredible. Payson did a great job promoting it, and actually, how long is this video? Let's see. I think this might be Payson presenting his own page. So let's watch this really quick. I don't know if I've seen this in a while.
Basically, we, like many other media companies, have been receiving hundreds of emails from businesses that have been responding to the COVID-19 outbreak on what their response plans are, whether they had limited hours, whether they were doing takeout deliveries, cleaning and sanitation, if they're taking by appointment only. But it was very fragmented because they were only sending it to customer base that was in their CRMs. They didn't have a way to get it out to the general public. And so what the team at Florida Weekly in our hometown did was create a community resource site for free where any business, church, group, civic organization could post in real time how their business was being impacted, what their COVID-19 response plans were, and communicate with the community. And we made this in a way that they could actually go back in at any time and update this as things have changed. In addition to this, we really wanted to build a simple process that didn't take a lot of time, where they could just simply log in, create a user account, put in the appropriate information, and hit post. In the last 24 to 48 hours, we've seen hundreds of businesses use this tool within the markets that we serve within the state of Florida. And now we're moving into more of a consumer resource. And the team at our hometown has taken all this data that we're getting and organized it into a category search engine where individuals that are looking for medical facilities that are still open can search within their zip code. They can search the name of the business, and they can quickly find out their COVID-19 response plan. So we continue to learn more every day that this site is up and how people are using and interacting to it. But the feedback so far from the business community has been overwhelmingly positive, that we've organized this resource for the general public so they can find out in real time how businesses are being impacted and what services are still available within the markets.
Thank you for sharing that vision and the functionality with our customers. Hopefully some of them will take advantage of this opportunity too.
Cool. Yeah, I forgot that Payson gave me that whole presentation. I kind of just like put him on the spot. I don't think he was expecting it, and I was like, "Can you just like sell this? Give us the 30-second elevator pitch on what you've done here, and he just loved it. He's a real sales guy, so that was really nice. That was a great summary, and it's just I'm remembering all the excitement at the time that I felt, with this terrible thing happening. I mean, the opportunity to step up and help people provide the information. I mean, it's invaluable, because the old tools that were being used, like Google Maps and Yelp and stuff, those things couldn't update fast enough. Their algorithms couldn't just automatically change the page. You really needed someone to go in there and organize the information, just like Payson said. Organize it and gather it. Call the businesses. What is going on? What are you guys doing? Food wise, delivery. I mean,
And the thing about this was that with Payson's setup, his staff didn't really have to do much at all. I mean, they made it a self-service thing.
right.
Let the customer know they can go in here, they can take care
Right.
of it themselves.
Well, that was really what was key about it. Yeah, this is what it looks like today. So you can still search, and he's got tons of businesses, hundreds, and you can add your business directly or add an event now, actually. So I don't know how many events he's getting. That's interesting. Looks like it's mostly businesses here, but yeah, this is a thing that's ongoing, and I remember him saying that this is just like the beginning of possibly a new opportunity for newspapers, to really just keep this information organized.
Right.
So,
And it was getting the truth out there too, because we saw
right,
a huge, huge uptick in visitors to all of our websites.
right. So that's a good point.
Yeah, they depend on local news to tell them the truth. I mean, the news was out everywhere and it was just overwhelming, but
Right.
just to look at your local paper, see what's going on with your local businesses, that was huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny you say that because we should almost have like separate time points on here for different things that happened. Like I would say end of March was when we saw a few papers uh, ceasing print for the next month or so, right? Or reducing their print frequency, that some of the dailies. So that, I mean, really the content it's reflected in that. I mean, what we're talking about in these blog posts, staying afloat during a pandemic. This was the interview with Guy. So we really ramped up on the publisher interviews during this time, I remember. And we were talking to him about his directory for deliveries, specials, and then, okay, that was just a revenue wrap up. So slightly different organization there. More on the business directory, but just I think this was saying, this is now a standalone product. Actually, was what this post was about. So we wanted to make it clear that even if you weren't with our hometown and didn't already have the business directory on your site, you could use just our business directory as a standalone product. We thought that was important to get out there. And then let's see, end of March, we're winding into looking at donations. We saw a lot of success. I remember at Journal Tribune did very well there, and she ended up doing a whole presentation, virtual conference on that. But just a lot of the different options that we saw, support community journalism. People, again, like you said, Terry, people didn't really know what to do next, what fire to put out. So what we were trying to do is just like boil it down, hand it to them on a like it's done here. This is what you do. We'll just let us do this. We'll put your logo in there, and we'll take care of it. We're really trying to just do whatever we could as a remote tech support team. Because they're the only ones that can cover the local news. So that was an interesting post and ongoing topic. My God, look at this. And then everything shut down, right? Yeah, I mean, it was the national emergency, I think, was declared on March 16th or something like that. And within a few weeks, basically all schools in the country were out, right? I mean, I can't remember any states really holding out at this point. Um, so it's like another opportunity. I mean, we're a digital company. What can we be doing for students that are now stuck at home? Their teachers are scrambling to organize lesson plans, and like, how am I going to do this remotely when all my training, all my lesson preparations are really designed for in person? I mean, that's crazy issue. I mean, you guys know any teachers? I mean, I have some close friends that are still teaching remotely, and it's just what an upended situation, to be put in. Um, I don't really know any high school students anymore. I don't really run in those circles, but
The student population has really been resilient throughout all of this. It's true that the kids really, especially high school, are
uh-huh.
missing, they're missing out on the social aspect of school, but they've almost embraced this hybrid method
Right. It's a hybrid model. Exactly. Yeah.
where they're in school 2 days, 3 days a week, and then they're home. And
Right.
face it, I mean, these kids are technically inclined anyway. I mean, they were brought up with iPads,
Right.
you know. So
Right. Yeah. So we got to jump on that opportunity. Right. Exactly. And just get our foot in the door with these people that have probably never picked up the print edition, never would. But I saw some people doing the discounted student subscriptions. I think a couple publishers got grants to do this, so they definitely made out fine because their costs were covered for the discounts. But even to just offer a discount for the first month, first couple months, maybe for students, and then have a discounted student rate. A lot of you know digital content providers do that. I think it makes sense to get your foot.
another thing that came out with this was it was great for publishers' public reputation because all of a sudden, people suddenly see that
Right,
newsprint and digital sites are a public service. They're not
right,
just out to make your money. They're no longer just the fish wrapper. This is where you're going to get your trusted news. And
right,
giving back to the community. I know we had one paper that, like you said, they got grants and they didn't take anything. They gave it all back to the community. It
right,
was in forms of paying for future advertising. They gave this
right.
money to these advertisers so that they could still publish their business somewhere.
Right, right. Exactly. Yeah. And do the work of the business directory and of just keeping everyone updated on the new operations. So yeah, like I know a lot of the big advertising talking heads that they have podcasts. They were saying throughout the whole thing that this is an opportunity to tell the story of the business. This is the best opportunity that you can hope for because their story is changing very quickly now. So as a newspaper, you can help them tell their story. That's what we used to do.
Right? Everything became very personal again. All of a
Right.
sudden, oh,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep. And everyone's kind of going through the same thing. So um, there was this, and I think we do come back to learn a little bit more about that grant later. But um, we then started doing more publisher interviews and branching out on the topics. This was one with Tom Lapis on podcasting. um, Statistics, yeah, this was already on our radar because I guess at this point we had all of March statistics, and it had been about a month since the shutdown. Everyone's at home, and the stats skyrocketed. So we thought, we should make sure everyone knows how to get their stats. So we did, this deep dive article and video on Matimo, which is our open source stats program, and there's just a ton to this. So hopefully everyone started at least looking at their stats monthly or getting reports, and just starting to get more familiar with it. It's an area that I'm really focused on for this year, just using stats to make design decisions for example, like you could say, what is the most popular category on our website statistically? Let's organize the homepage according to that. Could we maybe automate some of those things and move things around in a way that it's just more useful to the majority of the users, things like that. But that I'm not going to get too much into that today. We still have to figure out how we're going to do all those things with development. But clearly, we have all the pieces there. We have the starting point, which is the statistics, and you can manually do a lot of those things now. Like you can, for example, have a newsletter for your sports category. If that's your most popular category, it would make sense to have a dedicated newsletter for that. Then let's see, thriving in a digital only landscape. Yes, so Tom Lapis was retiring his print edition. He officially went digital only. So we wanted to highlight those cases so people can talk to these publishers, hear from them directly in the interview, and we weren't doing live interviews at this point, but whenever we do these now, we want you to be able to ask in real time them questions during the interview. But he makes appearances in a lot of things, and he's available to answer questions. So those innovators we'd like to highlight. And then we had some tech updates. Gutenberg finally came together. Hold on, I gotta figure out how to hide this Zoom. It keeps getting it. Oh, I'll move it to the bottom. Great. All right. So the Gutenberg block editor, it's still new to a lot of people. So I think this is an exciting area to explore. There's just a lot more kind of WYSIWYG in terms of creating custom articles and just more customization on the article level, basically. Then we've got renewing subscriptions. So that's something that we continue to talk about. And this wasn't new at this time. It wasn't like a breaking news story or anything, but we wanted to just highlight that recurring auto-renewing subscriptions are something you want to do. And now this is part of, it's a major point of pretty much every presentation I give on digital subscriptions. Okay, and then this, I can't believe it was in May. I thought it was, I guess there was a lot of wind up to this because we had the idea to start doing our own virtual conferences in like February or March. But then I think I just planned this way out and had like tons of preparation. Now we do them every 2 weeks, and just like nothing. But this one, we had 3 publishers come. It was an hour-long interview. 3 publishers, like rapid fire. I remember just like not feeling like there was enough time to ask all the questions I wanted to. I don't, we probably don't need to actually watch this, but I'll just like turn the volume down and just scrub through this a little bit. So yeah, this was fun. I mean, this was kind of like a landmark thing for me. We had a bunch of publishers at one time in a live presentation that we had who knows how many attendees at that point, but they were asking questions, and we're watching the questions, relaying them to the panelists. It was very cool. We were trying to recreate the panelist kind of environment that you see at a lot of conferences. We also had Kyle on, but he couldn't share his camera. But I feel like this was also one of the sessions that just clinched it for me. Like, you've got to share your webcam, whenever possible, just to communicate better, and to hear and see publishers talking about what they're doing. I just think it's so valuable. So that's something that we prioritize here. Not a lot of people are doing that yet, but I think it's going to catch on. A lot of the younger live streamers, they all do it. They have really crazy setups with like green screens and stuff. Like I'm talking about like really like young people that like play video games. I don't know if you guys have like know anyone like in your family that's like really into video streaming, like video game streaming, but that's like a huge thing. So there's like definitely young people that have these skills, And I think they could bring them to newspapers or news organizations, um, even if like the publisher doesn't want to get into live streaming. Anyway, that's something that we talk about a bunch later on, I think, here in the timeline. But we've got more publisher interviews. That one was with Jim Dickerson, just talking about his homepage redesign of Florida Weekly. It was really nice. They did that right after the directory, so we were working with them a lot that spring. And then another virtual conference. I started just doing these every month. I wanted to just have it be like a monthly thing. This one was very topical, very timely, and so I wanted to do it right away, which was, just working with local businesses during shutdown. This was one of the first ones we did with these two wonderful ladies at the Wave and Wilson County News. We've had them on back on different shows, and this was cool because Allison had put together a directory very quickly. She actually used a third-party program, which is great. If you prefer to use something like Second Street, I think is what it was. Um, just because their tools are easier to use or whatever, we can embed those things very easily on WordPress. Kristen actually used our system, and then she developed a print component that she reverse published from the website to the print directory. So it's, everything's just up to date, as up to date as it can possibly be, because you're gonna, just like the digital first workflow for editorial, you're gonna update the website first, because that's where everyone's gonna check for the most relevant or the most up to date information, and then you export from there. You don't want to maintain two systems or like have one person doing the print calendar and then copying and pasting it onto the website. That's just extra work. So that was an interesting conference. Then we started publishing these recaps every time we did one. This was the first interview with Meg Norris on reverse publishing, and I've had a bunch of those since then. We'll probably see him again. Automated newsletter coupons. This was a special project. I remember we brought someone on to work on this, and James finished it off to just focus more on selling subscriptions and just making that easier. Trying to automate the process of separating your newsletter list into two lists, because we had basically got the idea from the Acorn, I believe, who did this manually. And we were communicating with them through ops. They were asking for things, and that's how we learned about it. So again, the melting pot function, just like of our hometown, continues to solidify this year, I would say. But then we just saw what they were doing manually, thought it was a good idea. And again, that is what they were doing, is just looking at their newsletter list, separating out the people that are subscribers, removing those names, and just emailing the people that are subscribed to the newsletter but are not paying for a subscription to the website, and then offer them some special, introductory coupon. So we can now automate that, just setting up some basic, going in there, choosing what the discount is, selecting the list that you want to send it to. You can do that all, and then it will just send them out on a regular basis. So that was a pretty big breakthrough. Terry, you were asking earlier about print and how that all, how we see that unfolding. And I think that we just want to continue to promote the paper as a single unit, that, it's not the print edition and the print paper, and then the website is over there separate. It's all one thing. And so the best way to encourage that is to get your print readers using the website. And if I think the way to do it is really to put some value on it. You don't want to just give away the website, because then honestly, there's a weird psychology to it. But when you have something for free, it's like you still never use it. But if there's a small upgrade for the website and a little bit extra, then the people that are really interested will use it. And so with this system, I think basically we wanted to just point out that you can import your print circulation list and either give away free upgrades or give them a discount. So,
One thing that was really helpful with this, and
yeah,
like you said, we don't usually advocate for offering free subscriptions because, just like you said, it
right,
values your website. And there's really so much more on your website. You have photos
right,
that don't make it into print, you have continuing stories that don't make it into print. But
right,
the thing that was great about this, we had already had this in, we already had print upgrades in use because there are some publishers who just want to do that.
right,
And what happened was when some of the dailies went to only publishing 3 times a week in print, they were
right, right.
they were able to offer
That's right.
uh, this print upgrade so that their readers could still read the paper every day,
Right.
just not in print.
That is right. That's exactly what really prompted us to publish this. Exactly, because yeah, tons of papers. A weekly up in Maine, they were discontinuing print, and so they needed to, yeah, have a really clear method for people to arrive on the website and then get their digital subscription. Um, and I think, yeah, like you said, in a lot of those cases, just given the situation, they had to be comped because they had already paid for the print, and this was all unexpected. But I think if you have, once everything, now that everything's back to normal, you want to have it so it's just very easy for people to go in and pay an extra $10, let's say, for a year, to add digital to their print. But
And
it's
just to add, the auto renewal really played a big role here too, because people would, you know, again, because of the pandemic,
right,
weren't really committed to buying a full year subscription, but they were committed to just
right,
paying for it month to month. And now those people have stayed.
right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. This was That's very true. I think that was a big part of the reason we talked about our renewals too, because it opened up the opportunity for month to month, which is what everyone does. It's what Netflix does. It's what everyone's used to doing. They like low commitment. They're willing to pay actually, and you can justify charging a little bit more uh, for a month to month subscription, so you can actually make more money over the course of the year if they stay for a whole year. So yeah, this is when we really started focusing on helping with print pricing and marketing of the print and digital together.
Could
Um,
I comment on something before you move on?
of course, yeah,
Um, Coming from a paper background, one of
right,
the things that I did, and probably a lot of publishers get caught up in, the company that I worked with, we actually gave the print edition free. And that actually devalued the print because
right,
why are you going to get the print if you can see everything online?
right,
So what we did was we flipped it and we actually got away from doing the paper subscriptions in the mail and went to only digital. And that actually helped because we sold it as there are internet only ads that will not appear in print because you would have to pay extra to be in print.
right,
There were extra photos, so much to do.
right,
And that actually enabled us to sell more subscriptions than we actually did with paper. So I just wanted to mention that too.
right, right. So wait, you're saying, I just want to make sure I understand. You're saying that it was um, you you flipped it from being paid in print and free online to being, what did you flip it to or from and to?
Sure. Well, the company that owned Trader's Guide before was called TMP. They're a California-based company,
Right.
and they actually was a national circuit. So we
Okay.
weren't just in Pennsylvania; we were all over the United States. So their thing was, if you wanted to place a classified or if you wanted to place advertising, you could do it, and you could get the free edition online.
I see.
So people were getting the paper before it even hit the stands.
Right.
So why are you going to get a paper if it's already online?
Right. Right. Right.
So after that was actually with their company, and they actually supported the website. Soon after, we were bought out by another company, and we came aboard our hometown, and you
Right.
guys actually helped us flip it. So I really think that was something that was worth mentioning because it helped increase the revenue tremendously.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, you always got to be protecting the downside there with hurting the print edition. So, yeah, and we do talk about that. I don't know if it's on this timeline, but just different ways to promote the website and the print edition. You mentioned photo galleries, things like that. That's a big focus as well. Um, but I wanted to just bring up the privacy policy here. This was a pretty big deal a few years ago. It's not, I don't know if it's still, as much of a problem or what the future holds for GDPR, but the way it stands now, it seems like having a privacy policy pop up. It's a tongue twister kind of. But that is basically enough. It seems like that's what everyone's doing. Um, there's a whole field of privacy like compliance and managing privacy compliance, but we don't deal with that. We just have this blanket statement that says if you're using the website, you're agreeing to the privacy policy because we have this message pop up on every page of the site. It's really impossible to ignore, and you're basically forced to accept it, or you can read the privacy policy. So we automatically enabled this on everyone's site after a while. This was new in July, but then we went ahead and just put it on everyone's site some point down the road because it's a good practice. It's really only a problem in Europe, I think, but if you do get traffic from Europe, it's something to be aware of. So we're just doing our best to keep people in compliance with that.
I think people also appreciate the transparency that
Mhm.
people are taking the time to put these pop-ups up and say, hey, we're
Right.
not going to sell your information.
Right.
This is just for our records.
Right. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, we really don't do anything with the information, and frankly, we don't even really store it in a way that is not private. It's all anonymous. We have some information, and we use it, just to improve the quality of the website, but we're not targeting and trying to manipulate you with ads based on your data. And that's really what this is all about. They're targeting Google and Facebook with this, and we don't have the same business model as them. We're not all about this surveillance capitalism, which just harvests your data and provides services for free, but really you're the product and we're selling you to advertisers. We don't do that. It's like the relationship is directly between the publisher and the subscriber, and we believe that's like what the business relationship should be, a one-to-one exchange of money for information, not free stuff, so that advertisers can try to manipulate me into buying things basically. So the next one was a related stories block. I will say that you can keep an eye out on this for next year. This is going to be something I want to work on improving. It's part of my plan. It's related to a lot of other things. It's actually related to audio articles in a roundabout way, but I think recommending better content to readers is a really big opportunity, because this is good right now, and I think it's better than nothing for sure to recommend stories that are in the same category as the article that you're reading. But I think we can do even better. So I'm actually interested in your feedback on that. How do you guys think we could go about recommending good articles to people? Like things that they'll actually want to read.
Well, I think keywords are number one.
Mm-hmm.
Keywords from
Yep.
either headline or in the story.
Right. Agreed. That's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, a person, you have somebody who's looking for what to cook for dinner might not necessarily be interested in any kind of sports articles. So that person that's looking for recipes might want to see something more on cooking,
Right.
groceries, that sort of thing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, so what's interesting to me about this is it actually relates to the privacy stuff, because what we want to do initially, I think, is just make it not about personalizing the news for each reader, but it's more like just organizing it better. So, like you said, using the keywords to recommend other stories that are related to the current one. We're not necessarily looking at what that user has looked at in the past week and then making recommendations. Although there may be an opportunity to do that down the road. Um, I I don't really want to get into it now on this call, but like there's a lot to this. It's exciting. So if we can just look at keywords and basically do like a basic keyword search, and then recommend those stories instead of just the other most recent stories in the same category, I think that would be helpful. It could also be a combination of the two because you do sometimes want to see the most recent stuff from the current, category that you're in. But I don't think it should just be that. You know, if there's a topic mentioned in the article that you're reading, and there's an article that went viral or just got a ton of views on that same topic from a year ago, that would be interesting, to surface that. I think a lot of people would click on something like that. Even though it was a year old, it's not really news anymore. It's like highly relevant and possibly very important and relevant, to what I'm reading now.
Going along with that, what's great about some of those things with organization is if you're an archivist, like for a historical society, you
Right.
could actually find it easier and pertain to certain towns, local
Right.
governments, that kind of thing. And it'll make it so much easier.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think just making the archives more accessible and useful is a interesting opportunity because how are the archives used now, really? I mean, they're basically you do a keyword search for a specific term and you're trying to you're doing research, you're already in that mode. But this way, if we could surface it to people and kind of pull them into the archives naturally, just them following their curiosity, that would be even better. I think we would have a lot more people looking at archive stories. So, because
I
people are
know a lot
to
of
get out.
people that we have that do like this day in history, five
Right,
years, 10, 20. That brings attention to the archives. It gives
right,
you kind of like a teaser and draws you back to the original article. And by linking it to those archives,
right.
that right there, makes it so much easier.
Exactly,
And the
exactly.
idea is to keep people on your site.
Right,
For
right,
one, you're edifying your readers, but you're also promoting your advertisers because the longer people stay on your site, the
right.
more exposure your advertisers have. So it's a twofold benefit.
Yeah, it's definitely twofold, and I think that the focus of 2021 has to be making people want to stay on your site longer, not in a clickbait kind of way, where it's like, you know, clickbait.
Right.
It's
No,
like,
you want them to say, hey, wow,
this
this
is
site
really
got it
useful.
all.
Right. This is like, when they go on the site, they read 4, 5, 10 stories rather than one or two. Which is really what most news sites see. If you look at their stats, they come in from the newsletter, they read the article that they clicked on from the newsletter, maybe one other one, and then they bounce because people are busy and there's just a lot of stuff that they could be looking at. So if we can keep them on site longer, we don't want to do it to manipulate them with like personalized advertising like Facebook and Google, but we're going to use it. We're going to keep them on there so that they get a lot out of their subscription and they really get a lot, they just get a lot of perceived value out of it. Because there's no doubt that there's value there. It's just a question of whether the people perceive it and, actually get value out of it. So this helps them do that. That is exciting stuff. So we'll definitely talk about that more as we look at some opportunities in development there. This was the High Yield live video conference. I really enjoyed doing that one. I done a couple repeats of that because it was just like it was a technique that we developed in the chaos of the pandemic and just doing virtual conferences in general, doing interviews remotely. I just think that there's a huge opportunity for that. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. I think a lot of the young people that are going to be looking for jobs, they have experience with these streaming tools, and maybe they even have their own little like personal YouTube channel. So just keep an eye out for that talent, because they can bring their generation in if you bring them on as a freelancer for your paper and have them cover the news with their techniques, just like with live streaming video. um, I don't know, could be very very big, but you got to have someone that's into it.
Yeah, and one thing that's really cool about this is, I think we talked about it at one of our own meetings, was you almost expect and appreciate more the cattail walking behind someone,
Right. Right.
the dog barking, and
Yeah.
nothing is really. I think it's more perceived by readers as genuine,
Right. Right.
not
You
quite so.
forgive the mistakes.
Yes, and it's people have embraced that, so it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we're all really comfortable with this stuff. I think all publishers should be doing like weekly Zoom calls and just open it up to the public, or not open up the chat area. It's just new ways to engage with people. That again, these trends have been at work for years, but everything's just accelerated because everyone's at home. Some states are going back on lockdown now. It's crazy. So there's still an opportunity to jump on this. Then we had more conferences just back to back here. Different topics on paywalls, on video, two different types of paywall conferences. And I did that on purpose. It was all just preparation for, I'm just going to skip some of these things, for the NNA convention. So this was like the big news of the year. Really was honored to be a part of this event. They had me do 4 sessions for this, and I wrote an article for their print edition. This was actually the article right here that we're looking at, of Pub Aux. So this was just like a big milestone in, I think, what's going to be a long ongoing relationship with NNA and our hometown. After we did this event, they actually asked me to be on the planning committee for next year's. I think I'm gonna hopefully play a big part in the scheduling, and figure out what topics to cover, maybe have a few sessions myself, but try to bring people together. So this has been just great. After we did this, I feel like it really set us apart as a company, and all this work that we've been doing with video, and just like kind of we're spending a lot of time on this every week, but it's paying off, because we now have this perception in the industry as really like cutting edge, I think, on marketing and building our own audience virtually. And a lot of these associations don't really know how to do that. They're not sure what to do with their members. They have hundreds of members all over the country, but they can't get them together anymore. So we're doing more and more of these. And so that was the first big one. And then virtual conference replay, just a bunch of replays here. We developed based on customer feedback. Someone needed a Spotify store, so we found an integration with that. Didn't have to build that from scratch. We just had to integrate it with our platform. So again, WordPress paying off. Then we launched the privacy policy on everyone's site, just got it done so you didn't have to worry about it. Although it was easy to set it up yourself before, still a lot of people, didn't realize it was there. So we just made it automatic. And then in the fall, I kind of shifted topics, focusing more on video. We had this whole series on video and audio production. Basically, like trying to take what I had talked about in one virtual conference in the past, and I made like 3 or 4 out of it. And that's what I've been doing late 2020, and probably will continue into the next year. Just like talking about a lot of the same stuff, but repackaging it and integrating it with other topics. So like here's one on getting started with audio podcasts. Uh,
That
this was
logged in feature, Matt, that was a big one too,
Oh
because
yeah, yeah. Let's talk about this one. Yeah, this was key to customers, the active login sessions. So rather than just saying that there's a maximum number of IP addresses, we're using currently logged in. So you could be moving around on your phone, connecting to different Wi-Fi, connecting to 5G, whatever, and it will still keep you connected. So it's not going to kick you out at any point as long as there's just three active sessions, no more than three. But you can customize that and a couple different options here. So you can actually have a login logic that allows them to log in and kick someone else out or blocks them. So that's kind of cool. I think this is on a site level. It's not by user. So the publisher would decide, do they want to have it be one way or the other, and how many do they want to allow at once. So
right, that protected publishers from, having your paid subscribers that are new to the site from
right,
passing out their password to, unlimited friends and family, so that only three people. I think we have one site that has up to five people can
okay,
in, and using the allow option.
right,
I think a person stays logged in by default for 30 days. So if you've got somebody that just came to the site and looked at two articles but remained logged in,
right,
using that allow, that'll kick them off. Instead of,
right,
that your poor person who can't get on the site,
right.
somebody
Yeah,
calling out. So
I think the allow is probably the better option. Yeah, because you could have someone out there, like you said, that's just not really using the site, but they are technically an active login. So
it's kind
yeah,
of like Netflix, you have five people on your account, and when
right,
you go to watch it, you can't. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
Five people on there, so it boots somebody off, which is a good option.
right. Yep, yep. I think that makes sense. So it's just basically all the current users that have access. That's a good one to highlight. I think we've been going on pretty long here, so I'll wrap it up in a second. Let's just focus on the key customer announcements. I think that mainly at the end of the year here we were just doing a bunch of conferences. So last couple weeks ago we had two in 1 week. So this is what I'm talking about. Like we really seem to be getting name recognition like I've never had. I used to go to these associations as a vendor and no one really knew us. The organizers didn't know us because we weren't actively going every year. I was going sporadically. But now I think we've established ourselves as experts with them, so they're inviting us to their associations to present to their members, and we do it. Just try to do it in a helpful way, not like we're selling. Although we're always open to welcoming new business from these associations, and we have seen a large uptake in the interest there. But it's really just about getting the information out there and trying to be helpful at this time because there's so much uncertainty. And then we've got just general tips for internet security. Again, we had a bunch of updates on our security for our platform, but it allowed us to see these are all, we can still take these ideas and kind of put them out there, share them with the industry, just share it with the world. Just general tips for internet security. Anyone could benefit from this. But this is going to be published with the NNA next year, I think, or in their next monthly edition. So that's exciting. Then we had, well, the two conferences, America's Newspapers. Now we're kind of on their radar. Hopefully, I'll get another webinar with them early 2021. And the online media campus is another one. They're kind of doing what I am trying to accomplish with our hometown, but that's like their main thing. So they have webinars quite frequently, and it's associated with the Iowa Newspaper Association. So um, really, we're getting a lot of strength in the Midwest. It looks like Illinois, Iowa. We're going to be sponsors of the Wisconsin Press Association. They're all doing it virtual this year. I don't know what Texas is doing. They were going to try to do it in person, but we'll see what actually happens. But yeah, that's man, that was a lot. That was fun though. A good walk down memory lane. Any questions on any of these things, Terry or Vera? Anything else you want to point out from this year that?
Oh, I think, I think we're gonna make it. I just,
Yeah,
look at what we've done, where we started, how we were poised to,
right,
hit the ground running when the pandemic hit, and where we're bringing publishers through it. I think it's
right.
awesome. It was
Yeah,
really, I loved seeing this. This was really exciting. 'Cause like I
yeah,
said, we don't, you don't really take stock in what you've done all year. It's like, man, what did I accomplish? Boy, we did a
right.
lot.
Well, it's almost just like an online journal, and I guess that's what a blog is. Originally it was a web log, and that's what we're trying to do here. Is because we do a lot, and we've been in business for it's going on 24 years now,
Yeah.
but we've always done a lot for publishers. We've always done such great work, and our publishers love us, and we get practically all our business from referrals. But what was missing in the past is we didn't talk about it. We just did not sell ourselves enough and didn't do our own marketing. So that is what has changed this year, and Jack has just totally um, killed it with the newsletter. He's done such a great job, and he owns that now. That's like his baby. So and he just does such terrific work, and he put together this graphic. So that's going to keep growing, and that's just going to fuel everything. So all the departments are going to be working off of each other, and I hope that you two feel that there's good communication. Now, Vera, you're going to be on the weekly meetings, which are really important because that's engineering, sales, and support coming together, and
I'm
that's
really excited about that.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that's going to be good. I really think you're going to benefit, but we're going to benefit so much from just having you there, even more so because um,
and so will the publishers because Vera will know more of what's going on.
right, right. Yeah, it's really it's overdue. So we're gonna start doing that. Well, we did today, but really we'll start next week. So but anyway, that's a little bit internal stuff. That's all for today's webinar. So thank you all for watching today. We'll probably cut this down a little bit and put together a little replay of 2020. But thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you, Terry and Vera, later. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.